I never planned to become anyone's fake boyfriend, especially not hers. My life was simple: work, late dinners alone, and the quiet kind of loneliness that hums in the background until you stop noticing it. She walked into that routine like a sudden change in weather. Confident, sharp-eyed, dressed like she knew exactly where she belonged in every room she entered. We worked in the same building, different floors, different worlds. I was the guy people forgot to invite. She was the woman everyone watched when she spoke. So when she stopped me near the elevator one evening and said my name like it mattered, I thought she had the wrong person. She didn't smile right away. Instead, she studied me, like she was weighing a risk. Then she said the words that changed everything: "I need a favor. Just for one night. Will you pretend to be my boyfriend?" I laughed because it sounded like a joke. She didn't. She told me about the party, an engagement celebration hosted by her family, full of people who never stopped asking why she was still single. She was tired of explanations. Tired of being judged. She needed someone calm, believable, and temporary. Someone safe. I asked why me. She said, "Because you don't look like you'd betray me." That sentence hit harder than any compliment I'd ever received. I should have said no. Instead, I heard myself agree. The night of the party, she picked me up. When she stepped out of her car, the city lights caught her in a way that made my breath pause. She handed me a jacket, adjusted my collar, and whispered, "Just stay close." Inside the house, eyes followed us everywhere. Her hand slipped into mine so naturally that for a moment, I forgot it was fake. I played the role better than I expected, laughing at jokes, standing tall, answering questions like I belonged there. She leaned toward me when conversations grew uncomfortable. I leaned back when she needed space. Somewhere between the music and the forced smiles, something shifted. This wasn't acting anymore. When her relatives praised us as a perfect couple, I felt something warm and dangerous in my chest. And when the night finally ended, when the guests left and the house fell quiet, she didn't let go of my hand. She looked at me differently now, less guarded, more human. "You did great," she said softly. Then she turned toward the stairs, paused, and added, "Come with me." I followed, not knowing that the line between pretending and truth was about to disappear. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to subscribe, because what happens next changes everything. Her room was quiet, lit only by a lamp near the window, the city breathing softly outside. She closed the door behind us, not dramatically, just firmly, like she was protecting a moment that might not come again. I stood there unsure, suddenly aware of how close we were, how the air felt heavier than before. She broke the silence first. She thanked me again, not for pretending, but for understanding her without questions. She admitted that she hadn't expected the night to feel so real, that somewhere between the laughter and the lies, she forgot we were acting. I told her I felt it too, and the honesty surprised both of us. She sat on the edge of the bed, motioned for me to sit, and for a while we just talked, about childhood fears, broken expectations, the pressure to be perfect for people who never really see you. The masks came off, one by one. When she leaned her head against my shoulder, it wasn't planned. When I rested my hand over hers, it wasn't part of the deal. Time slowed, stretched, softened. She looked up at me, searching my face, and whispered, "If you walk away now, I'll understand." I didn't move. Instead, I stayed, because some moments ask you to be brave in quiet ways. What happened next wasn't loud or rushed, it was gentle, emotional, and filled with meaning neither of us had expected when the night began. By morning, the fake labels didn't fit anymore. We didn't promise forever. We didn't define anything. But when I left her house, I wasn't the same man who had agreed to pretend. Sometimes, the smallest lies reveal the deepest truths. And sometimes, a single night meant to fool others ends up waking your own heart. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you feel something real, subscribe to the channel. More powerful stories like this are coming, and you won't want to miss them. I thought leaving her house that morning would make things clearer, but clarity never came. Instead, her presence followed me everywhere, in the quiet pauses between emails, in the reflection of shop windows, in the way my phone felt heavier in my pocket because I wanted it to light up with her name. We didn't talk for 2 days. Not because we agreed not to, but because both of us were afraid of turning something fragile into something awkward. Then, on the third night, she messaged me like nothing had changed. "Are you free?" No explanation. No apology. Just an
I realized the real price of staying wasn't scandal or sacrifice. It was courage. Courage to see yourself clearly. Courage to walk into a future where you no longer disappear to survive. And that whisper, "Stay tonight," had changed both of us, not because we stayed, but because it showed us we no longer had to. Time has a strange way of sanding down sharp memories until only their meaning remains. Months passed. Seasons changed. The city that once felt too loud slowly became background noise again, but the lesson of that night never faded. I rebuilt my life quietly: new work, smaller rooms, fewer titles, more peace. No one knew me as the assistant anymore. I was just a man learning how to speak when something mattered. Sometimes, late at night, I would catch myself replaying that moment: the rain, the darkness, the whisper, not with longing, but with gratitude. Because staying that night taught me something no promotion ever could: that being present can be more powerful than being important. I heard through mutual silence that she was thriving in her own way, studying abroad, choosing a future that finally belonged to her. We never tried to reclaim what we shared, because it was never meant to be owned. It was a turning point, not a destination. One evening, as I stood by my window watching the city lights blink on one by one, I realized something quietly profound: some stories don't exist to give you love, success, or answers. Some stories exist to give you permission to choose yourself, to stay when it's human, to walk away when it's necessary, and to live without asking the world who you're allowed to be. That night didn't ruin my life. It gave it direction. And if you're listening to this right now, standing at your own crossroads, wondering whether a single choice can really change everything, sometimes it already has. You just haven't seen the ripples yet. Life has a way of circling back, of nudging you toward moments you didn't expect to revisit. I had moved into a quieter rhythm: my work was steady, my nights calm, my world ordinary in ways that felt like freedom. But freedom has a way of calling your attention, of reminding you what courage looks like. It was an ordinary Thursday when I saw her again, completely by chance, though the universe rarely deals in coincidence. I was leaving a small bookstore tucked between two cafes when her voice stopped me before I could reach the door. "You always find the quiet spots," she said, smiling the same way she had that stormy night. There was no awkwardness, no pressure. Just recognition, like two travelers who had once shared a storm now standing safely on separate shores. We walked together along streets glistening from an earlier rain, talking about life, ambitions, mistakes, and victories, the kind that come quietly but leave permanent marks. She told me about her projects, the choices she had made, the courage it took to tell her father no, and carve her own path. I shared my journey, how a single night had shifted everything: my sense of self, my understanding of fear, my ability to embrace life fully. As we paused on a bridge overlooking the river, she turned and whispered, not like before, but now with clarity and strength: "Some nights teach you everything you need to know." I nodded. I realized then that our paths hadn't converged for love, or scandal, or drama. They had crossed to remind us that choice, honesty, and presence could reshape everything. And sometimes, the people we meet are mirrors of courage we didn't know we had. I walked away that day knowing that the whisper, "Stay tonight," had not been an invitation. It had been a lesson. A lesson we both carried, no matter how far life took us.